Hi, good evening. Carve Solokol. Studio audience here, and we've been joined by the former Wales captain, Ashley Williams. Great to see you, Ash. Right, Carve, let's get straight to it. Breaking news in the last half an hour. Tell us.
Yes, Arsenal have made a bid for the Aston Villa striker, Ollie Watkins. That bid has been rejected. It's expected that Arsenal are going to go in with an improved offer. Now, this story was first reported by Sami Botbel in the Daily Mail, and he has dug up some interesting information because he says that back in 2020, when Ollie Watkins was at Brentford, he gave an interview in which he said that it was always his dream to play for Arsenal, and apparently Thierry Henry was his hero when he was growing up. Now, that may well be the case, but that doesn't mean that Aston Villa are going to be selling him to Arsenal. But it is big news, especially for Arsenal fans who've been crying out for their club to sign a new striker because they believe they need a striker to win the title. The story is a little bit complicated, though, because Aston Villa have got two number 9s, effectively, who are in demand. There's Ollie Watkins, there's also John Duran. West Ham have been trying to sign him. They put in a bid. That was rejected. Now, Al Nassr, the Saudi club where Cristiano Ronaldo is playing, they are trying to sign a striker as well. They had basically agreed a deal to sign Victor Boniface from Bayer Leverkusen. He was packing his bags and getting ready to fly to Riyadh, but at the last minute, Al Nassr have switched their sights to John Duran at Aston Villa. He would cost them something like 70, 80 million pounds. Now, there is no way that Aston Villa are going to let both those players leave. So I'm being told that it's unlikely that Arsenal will get Ollie Watkins, especially if John Duran ends up going to Saudi Arabia. And I'm pretty sure that Aston Villa's position is Ollie Watkins is not for sale. He's got another 3 years left on his contract. Why would we sell him to one of our rivals near the top of the table?
What do you make of the timing? A couple of hours before Aston Villa play a really important game, and there's a bid put in for one of their most important players.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Do you know what? The actual the bid makes sense. I understand why Arsenal would want a player like Ollie Watkins. I think he fits the system. It is exactly what they need. But the timing of it is bizarre. I think it's going to get Aston Villa's backs up a little bit. And if you say Arsenal are coming back in, then we'll see what happens. But from Aston Villa's point of view, they won't want to lose, in my opinion, either of those two strikers. I think we've seen so many games this season where Watkins has started and John Duran's come off the bench and scored important goals. To compete on a couple of fronts like they are, they need two really top-class strikers, which they've got at the minute.
What is he, 29, Ollie Watkins? Does it seem a lot of money for a 29-year-old, which has already been rejected?
I mean, Arsenal have got a long-term interest in Ollie Watkins. They're long-term admirers of the player. And we've always been saying that short-term and long-term targets will be considered in this transfer window. They cannot get a domestic player on loan in this transfer window because they've already used up their 2 loans in Neto from Bournemouth and Raheem Sterling from Chelsea. So it was going to have to be a permanent deal that they'd have to go for. Ollie Watkins clearly is someone that they like, and they've gone big with this bid. But the cynic in me is kind of wondering, look, for them to do it with 5 days to go on the eve of a huge game for Aston Villa, surely they would know that Aston Villa are going to say no. I just wonder, is there another target that Arsenal have got, and maybe they're trying to push that other target by making it public? Here we go, look, we're going for Ollie Watkins here. Because that kind of thing can happen, can't it?
Does that happen, Ash?
Yeah, 100%. Those kind of moves definitely happen that don't come out and we're not talking about, because phone calls go on, conversations happening behind closed doors, and you never find out about it. So that would make sense, where they want some maybe they're down the line with someone a little bit and it's sticky, and so they've gone, OK, we're going to do a big public bid over here to push this guy. And if I was that player that's doing the quiet conversation, I might now be saying to my agent, look, they're moving on someone else, we need to get going.
One thing I will say as well, just very quickly, Carve, sorry. One thing I would say as well, we know how it works in transfers. When clubs make bids, they must be getting encouragement from somewhere that it potentially could be successful. Is it from the players' camp? Is it from somewhere else? Because Arsenal aren't just going to go in with £60 million and then say they're probably going to go back in with an improved offer if they don't think there's any chance, because they'd just be wasting their time. They've got to bring in someone. They want to bring in a striker. Mikel Arteta says they're working hard. They really want to do it, given their injury problems. So I'm just talking more generally, just in transfer terms, these kind of things might happen in a transfer window, because when you have a bid as big as that, surely somewhere Arsenal are getting an encouragement that Ollie Watkins might think, actually, yeah, I do want to make that move.
Can I just float an alternative theory? And that is that Arsenal have realised today that Al Nassr have come in for John Duran, and they know that Aston Villa are not going to sell both their number 9s. So Arsenal have been told, look, John Duran is about to go to Saudi Arabia. If you want Ollie Watkins, you've got to make the bid now, because you can't wait any longer, because once John Duran has gone to Al Nassr, there is no way you will get Ollie Watkins. So perhaps that is why they have been almost forced to make this late bid today.
Do clubs put out feelers to players?
Yeah, there's multiple ways that they can do it, and they're not supposed to, but it happens all the time. It might just be you're in a dressing room, you've got an ex-teammate that plays at a certain club, and he's going to send you a text or phone you and say, are you interested in coming over? I've had a conversation with my manager. You say yes, if that's if that's the case, and then they go on, and then we get to this phase where we are now. So it does happen, and different ways. You know, agents are always talking to people because it's their job to do that. So those conversations aren't, they're allowed to happen. Agents are allowed to talk to people, other clubs, so that they do happen. And then, like you're saying, you do get a bit of interest. So then a club might hear he actually fancies, the player himself fancies this move. So let's pursue it a little bit and see where we get.
Has there ever been a situation where it's secret agent Ashley Williams where you've been told, look, let's have a little word with this guy, tell him that we want him?
No, because...
Come on.
No, because my thing was always, if you was on my team, then I'm going to speak to you. If you left my team, then you're an enemy until the end of the season, and I'm not bothered what you're doing.
Fair enough.
Arsenal faces FA charges following Myles Lewis Skelly red card incident against Wolves. In the latest news surrounding Arsenal, the club is under scrutiny after controversial red card issued to Myles Lewis Skelly during their recent Premier League match against Wolves at Molineux. The incident sparked a significant reaction, as players surrounded referee Michael Oliver following the decision, leading to an official charge from the FA. The red card, issued just before half-time, has already been annulled earlier this week. According to a statement from the FA, the club allegedly failed to ensure that its players refrained from inappropriate behaviour around the 43rd minute. Arsenal now has until Monday, February 3rd, to respond to the charges. If found guilty, the club could face a fine for failing to control their players during the match. After Oliver sent off Lewis Skelly, several Arsenal players approached him in protest, expressing their discontent with the decision. Fortunately for manager Mikel Arteta, his team managed to secure a narrow 1-0 victory thanks to a late goal from Ricardo Calafiori, despite Wolves also receiving a red card. The decision to issue a direct red to Lewis Skelly, coupled with the VAR officials' failure to intervene, has generated a wave of frustration, not only among fans but also within the Arsenal camp. Initially, it was reported that Lewis Skelly had engaged in violent conduct. However, after Arsenal lodged an appeal, the 3-match suspension was lifted. The panel's written explanation highlighted that Oliver made a clear error, noting that while Lewis Skelly may have tripped his opponent, he did not endanger their safety or display excessive force. Arteta has publicly condemned the treatment Oliver received from some supporters, emphasizing the need for a cultural shift in the sport. "We need to work much harder to eliminate the negativity that surrounds these moments," he stated ahead of Wednesday night's match against Girona. "Let's kick this behavior out of our game." As Arsenal navigates this controversy, the emphasis remains on accountability, respect for officials, and the spirit of the game.